How's it going, YouTube? Today I'm finally going to go over my review / deep dive of the Galaxy Watch 3. Now, I can go on and on about the specs and what's inside of the watch, this, that, and what have you, but I think the best way for me to convey how I feel about this watch is going to be to give you guys like my real world experiences and actual thoughts on this product. So without further ado, let's dive right in. What really sells me on this watch is the amount of faces that you can have. So right here, I'm going to hold on to the display, and here are just some of the watch faces that I've downloaded. You can also go onto the Galaxy Watch subreddit, where there are just an endless amount of watch faces that are put up there for free every day by the developers, and they are just super awesome. It's like a never-ending supply of watch faces, and you can have a new face and a new feeling watch pretty much any day of the week if you really wanted to. My only gripe is that I have noticed if I use, say, this watch face, for example, this is not a Galaxy Watch face. I got this from a developer on that subreddit I was talking about, and it drains just a little bit more battery than the stock Samsung watch faces do, and that is going to be a trend that you see throughout all of the faces. However, if you do find that your battery is draining a little faster than normal, you can always go into the Samsung app and see if that watch face is draining your watch like a considerable amount. That's something I'm going to show you guys later when I dive into the battery life. One of my favorite things about this watch is its OS. So I don't know how many of you have ever had an iPhone, but just having all of those little circular apps all over the place, and you have this little screen to try and touch the right one, it just doesn't feel like how it should be. This physical bezel that lets you change to whatever widget you'd like is outstanding. Now, my only issue with this bezel is I took it on a workout where I kind of got in the mud and like in the water a bit, and I got a little sand in there. So if you were to hypothetically take this to the beach and try and go in the water, which you shouldn't, because usually the water like proofing is meant for fresh water. Salt water, from what I heard, can really mess up any kind of like a phone or a watch. Your device needs to specifically be graded for salt water and things of that nature. But I got in the sand and the mud, and every time I would turn this, I got like a crunchy sound. But I got this, I ran it underwater, and then I just kept doing that, and now it's brand new again. This thing really is a champ. So some features that I would like to go into are these. Well, not this one here. I don't really understand like what I get out of stress monitoring or what data it gets. I never necessarily measure it because I don't really know what it is trying to measure. But these other three here, I love counting my steps. It's the beginning of the day, so I don't really have many in. And it will keep a week log of what you've got. So right now, because it is Sunday and this clock restarted, it's saying that I'm down negative 6,000 steps from last week. But it is really neat to try and get a goal and maintain it every day. Now this sleep function, I really like how Samsung tracks sleep. So they just recently updated it to now, see how it says there's 8 hours and 19 minutes of sleep, but 2 sleep records. That's because during the night, I think like my dog barked or like my wife got up to use the restroom. So the first session of sleep was 4 hours and 19 minutes. It rates a sleep score of 30, which sometimes the sleep score, it'll say 30 no matter what. So I have found that I kind of ignore that, but this information is also very interesting. If you pull this up into the phone, you'll get to see a more in-depth graph of this. And some people will say, hey, I was awake for 50 minutes that night off and on. But what they do is they take the largest amount of, say, REM or light sleep, and then they display that information for you. Because if you were in REM sleep, I don't know, 5 times in your 7-hour sleep cycle and it was just 20 minutes a pop, but on one you were in it for like an hour, then that hour is going to be like the most important, because it's not the different amount of times you're in, like, say, REM sleep, it's how long you were in REM sleep. So as you can see, it shows me my first 4.5 hours, and then if I go on, it'll show me my second sleep session, which is 4 hours and 10 minutes. And all of that is tracked into a week-long graph that is very easy to see at a moment's notice. Now, some people say that this watch is too chunky to wear to sleep at night. However, I've found that as long as you get a comfortable band, this is a Barton band, by the way, then you wear it a little loose. This thing doesn't need to be super snug in order to get that heart rate information, and as long as you don't roll around too much, because there were maybe 1 or 2 nights where I rolled and then this was like underneath me, like I was sleeping on my wrist, and then that kind of hurt a little bit, but other than that, I don't even notice it. And being able to have an alarm set and then either snooze or dismiss it from my wrist without fumbling to find my phone in the dark is kind of really nice, especially when you don't want to wake up your significant other or something like that. Now, another thing that I would like to mention, I do really like this heart rate monitor, and I have it set to monitor my heart rate every 10 minutes, and that really does not affect my battery whatsoever. If you would like a more accurate sleep tracking, you can put measure continuously right before you go to sleep, and it will have much more data to show you throughout the night. One thing that the watch didn't come with, but it came with an update, and I wanted to wait till I had this to make this video, is the ECG. So let me go ahead and give you a quick demonstration of how this works. So for this, it is important that you put the band maybe a notch tighter than you usually would. Okay, now that I have the watch band on, you do want to keep your watch a little higher up on your wrist, because you're going to get a more accurate reading the more of a fattier portion that this sensor is on. So don't keep it on your wrist where your bone is, try and keep it up. And this is going to be a little hard to do while I'm recording, because I got my arms way out here, but you want to make sure that you're nice and relaxed when you do it and you don't move, because any type of movement can be considered a type of like bad reading on your heart, or like an inconsistent one. Okay, so without further ado, let's give this a shot. Record. So it says make sure the watch is snug on your left wrist. Results displayed by Samsung Health, and it's just basically a disclaimer. Now, it wants you to put it on the left wrist. I'm assuming because, you know, your heart's on your left side. And then with your right finger, you are going to be touching this dial, and that is essentially completing a circuit throughout your body. It's pretty neat how this technology is on your wrist, but let me show you guys how this works. So rest your finger lightly on the button. So here it's saying I have a sinus rhythm. The ECG does not show signs of atrial fibrillation. Gives me more emergency advice, like don't use this as a medical grade sensor. And right now I have a heart rate of 95 because I'm holding my arms outright and it is a little hard. It asks you if you are feeling unwell, so if I were to do that, I can just say, you know what, right now I'm feeling a little fatigue. Let me save that. So I can, if I wanted to do this every day, build up a database of my heart rate, how my health is doing, and this really is kind of like the perfect health sensor for Android devices. So it says view this ECG in the Samsung Health Monitor app on your phone. Now that is something I'm going to get into next, because to have the ECG properly working on your phone, you need the Samsung Health Monitor app. And as you can see, since I just ran an ECG, the data is going to go into this app on my phone. So let's see what that looks like. So here is the ECG that I just ran. So it says sinus rhythm, ECG does not show signs of atrial fibrillation. And it shows a very, very like detailed chart of my heart rate for that 30 seconds. And it does it in 3 increments of 10 seconds apiece. And if you have no idea what sinus rhythm is, or any other kind of warning or alarm, or just I don't want to say diagnosis, because you know it specifically says it doesn't do that, but you click that little eye right there and it will bring up exactly what you got means. So a sinus rhythm is when the heart beats in a consistent rhythm. This occurs when the heart's upper and lower chambers beat in sync. A sinus rhythm result is based only on that particular ECG recording and doesn't mean your heart beats uniformly all the time. Okay, so that means aside from my little tired arms holding up my wrist in front of the camera with that high BPM, that looks like a nice healthy score. Next thing I want to get into that is new on the Galaxy Watch is the V20 monitor. Now this is something that is also very neat. It is new on this and is one of the Apple Watches like selling like new features. Same thing, you want to have it nice and snug. You want to have your arm resting on a table above your heart, and you want to be nice and relaxed. Again, I'm going to hold my arm out here just so you guys can see what's going on. Hopefully that doesn't muddy the results. However, one thing I would like to note is when I first got this watch, this kind of was a hit or miss, but ever since the update that just came out that added ECG, this thing has been fairly rock solid. So that 97%, it was my last recording. So let me show you guys how this works. Okay, measure. And it recommends that I place my elbow on a table and I don't move because that could mess up the recording. Now, how this works is the sensor shoots light through your skin, hits your blood cells, and then however much oxygen is carried on your blood cells then gets reported back to the watch. This is very awesome technology, and again, this is so crazy that this is on your wrist, but let's give this a go. So my heart rate's still crazy because I'm holding my hand up, but as you can see, I am now 100%. Oh, isn't that neat? Got that shop app saying my Amazon package is on the way right from my wrist while I'm measuring my blood oxygen level. I love this watch, you guys. I really do. But let me go ahead and show you what this looks like in the Samsung Health app. So here I have my Samsung Health app. Now, one thing I will say is that opening it up and getting like advertisements on the top is something that I still just doesn't sit right with me, but as soon as I go up, it's how the app should be. So absolutely everything that I have been talking about so far gets synced to this app. So I'm going to my steps and it'll give me a breakdown of my steps, the distance, more advertisements, and if I go down into, it shows me my active time, and all of this is customizable. This is something that I want to go a little bit more in depth into when I make a fitness review of the Galaxy Watch, or just kind of like another deep dive, but all into the fitness aspect of this watch. But right now, I just want to show you guys like the biggest things that the average consumer would want to be looking for with this watch. So if I go into sleep, here it's going to show a little bit more in depth about like the different two stages that I was talking about earlier. The awake time, the REM time. I can rate this and eventually it will gather that data and then use it to learn better for the future. It shows me my average bedtime and average wake up time for the week and my average sleep time for the week, and of course more ads. Now that blood oxygen reading that I just took is right here, so let me click on that. So as you can see, my last one was 100%, and if I go into trends, it will show however many times I do it, it'll show me where my readings were, and at sometimes if I am like exercising, it will go down a bit. But mentioning this blood oxygen sensor and exercise is actually very interesting. Because if I go into exercise, here are all of the workouts that my Galaxy Watch has recorded. So if I go into a running workout, here is all the information it gives me. So if I click on that, it will give me a really in-depth map of what I ran. I don't want to click on it just for, privacy purposes of the location of where I was at. Here is an amazing amount of information that's given. So each thing is color coordinated. It has my heart rate, my cadence, my elevation, my pace, the average pace, max pace, my heart rate zones and how long I was in each zone, the splits of this. So as you can see, it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. And here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it gives me my speed or how long I was running in that split. I can change like the laps, miles. I can change it from pace to duration. Pretty much absolutely anything that you need is here. Another new thing that was added to the Galaxy Watch 3 is the advanced running metrics, which will give you your asymmetry. It'll give you your contact time with your feet hitting the ground, the flight time, how much you're in the air, regularity, how vertical you go, your stiffness. It'll show all of that in a chart. So if you are the type that likes to run for like marathons and is actually really into making sure that you are running as optimal as possible, here is all of the information that you can use in order to make sure you are getting everything out of your running and your fitness tracker. Now this is awesome, I think. So it has your VO2 as you're running. So I was at a 46 because like my little fat butt was out there running my hardest. So on average, you should be between like a 95 to 100. But if you are exercising or if you are hiking at high altitudes, it will record this information for you so you can track to see if you're going hypoxic or if your blood oxygen is just crushing it. Here is a nice synopsis of all of the information from my run in one nice little compact area without the graphs. And it's also going to show my most recent runs, the weather of it, and I can export this as a GPX file and have all of this data input into another program, a third-party program that will display this information however I would like to see it. But I mean, I really don't know how much more you could want than this, and the fact that all of this happens automatically is just awesome. Next thing that I wanted to touch on is the Galaxy Wear app. So with this app, I can choose what notifications that I want to use, like what can pop up on my phone. I can have the apps that are on my phone, and I can custom order like what comes up. So here, if you see this little scroll wheel of 1, 2, 3, if I go into my watch, which I'll take off now since I'm not using the sensors. So if I go here onto my watch and I click on that and I have these 3 options, I can literally choose which apps go here however I'd like, and pretty much anything that you could think of as far as customizability is going to be able to be changed however you want it. That is one of my favorite things about this watch as well. Is with the Apple Watch, for example, you kind of just are given what you get, but on the Galaxy Watch, not only are you able to customize a watch face to be exactly how you want it, but you can change this drop-down menu. You can change everything about, so like for example, if I want to do a weight machine workout and I click on the settings down there, I could change how the screen looks, which screens are on there, how many screens I want, the music controllers on. I can change the layout for the workout screens. Every single aspect of this watch is going to be customizable, which I think is priceless. So next thing I want to get into is the battery life of this watch. So right now I'm sitting at 21% battery life with 5 hours and 58 minutes remaining. Now I do want to say I have pretty much everything turned on with this watch. My location, the Wi-Fi, like I use GPS on it. I heavily work out with it, and I have gotten 1 day and 14 hours of use. Most of it going to that watch face because it is a third-party watch face like how I was talking about earlier. But this thing can give me 1.5 to 2 days of battery easily. I just drop it on the charger when I take a shower, and I literally never have to worry about the battery life on this. And if for whatever reason I do not like the battery life that I'm getting on the watch, I can bring it over here, go to settings, and go down to battery. So here you can optimize the battery and go in which kind of power mode that you want. Power saving, watch only. Watch only will just give you literally just the time, but your watch battery will last forever. I keep it on standard, and if you have some settings that maybe you've tinkered around with and it's been killing your battery, go into optimize battery. It'll start checking your watch and it'll give you suggestions that you can do to conserve your battery life. So if I were to hypothetically optimize it and agree to all of these things, my battery life would last a lot longer. But I love my always on display. I love my heart rate sensing on this. I love how I can have all of that and not have to worry about charging this thing for 2 days at a time if I really wanted to. Personally, every day when I go in the shower, I pop it on that charger and let it do its thing, and it's ready to go, and I don't have to worry about it. So one thing that I did want to show you guys is I'm going to kill the Bluetooth here. So now that it is not connected to my phone, I can go into my apps. And there is a widget for Spotify, but I like the Samsung player better. I just want to show you guys that this does work. So if you wanted to, say, take this for a run and listen to music without your phone with you, it does work. So now that I have my playlists, these are some of the playlists that I've downloaded offline. I'm not going to play too much for you, but you can connect these to Bluetooth headphones, or if you wanted to, you can literally play music off your watch. And I think that is just super neat. So this literally does everything that you could want it to. And another thing that I found is if you don't have Spotify, you can actually use Samsung DeX to put any audio file that you could get off of, say, YouTube, put it into your files with your computer with Samsung DeX, and then it's as easy as transferring it over to the watch, and then you could have any podcast or any YouTube video audio you could have on here while you're going for a run. So if you guys would like to see a YouTube video on how to do that, just let me know in a comment down below, and I'll make sure I do a very, very intricate detailed video on how to get any audio you want on here. That way you don't have to rely on Spotify. Ultimately, this watch is going to be not only the best watch on Android, but I think the best smartwatch out right now. Something about this design, it just speaks to me. I loved my Apple Watch when I had it, but something about that square, it just doesn't look as nice as something like this. Especially with the always on display with this, and like sometimes it's so nice and so clear that you can't even tell that it's a smartwatch. I've had so many compliments on this and so many people asking what it is, and the fact that I got this with trading in an Apple Watch Series 3 for like $150 off of it was honestly just quite the steal. I cannot recommend this more. This watch is awesome. Alright you guys, well, that is all I have for today's video. I really hope you found some of this information useful. I hope that you enjoyed my deep dive into the Galaxy Watch. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I'll make sure to respond. Also, if you'd like to see anything a little bit more in detail about the fitness tracking of this watch, please let me know and I'll make sure I include your question in my next video. So, with all of that, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a nice day. Thank you.